Section 1. What makes an F1 record? Unbreakable. Let's set the ground rules. In F1, a record is unbreakable when it's so extreme, so unlikely, or so tied to a unique era that nobody's likely to touch it again. Sometimes it's because the sport has changed, rules, technology, or even the number of races per season. Other times, it's just because the stars aligned in a way that's almost impossible to repeat. We're not just talking about the obvious ones like most wins or most poles. We're going deeper, the weird, the wild, and the ones that make you say, how did that even happen? Let's get started. Section 2. Most world championships. Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher, 7 titles each. Let's start with the big one. Michael Schumacher set the bar with 7 world titles, a record that seemed untouchable for years. Then Lewis Hamilton matched it, dominating the turbo hybrid era with Mercedes. 7 championships each. Anyone ever reach 8? Here's why this record is so hard to break. F1 is more competitive than ever. Teams rise and fall, regulations change, and even the best drivers need the right car at the right time. Hamilton and Schumacher both had years of dominance with the best machinery, but the odds of another driver getting that same run? Slim. Max Verstappen might be on a roll, but even he needs everything to go right for another 5 or 6 years. 7 world titles isn't just about speed, it's about consistency, luck, and surviving the politics of F1. That's why this record might stand for decades. Section 3. Most wins in a single season. Max Verstappen, 19 wins, 2023. In 2023, Max Verstappen won 19 out of 22 races. That's an 86% win rate in a season packed with competitive teams and unpredictable conditions. Before Max, the record was 15, set by Schumacher in 2004 and matched by Vettel in 2013. Why is this record so tough to beat? For one, the calendar is longer than ever, but so is the competition. Reliability, strategy, and even a single bad weekend can ruin a perfect run. Verstappen's 2023 season was a masterclass in domination, but as the sport gets more competitive and rules keep changing to level the playing field, it's hard to imagine anyone winning 20 or more races in a single year. Section 4. Most consecutive wins. Max Verstappen, 10, 2023. Speaking of Max, he also holds the record for most consecutive wins. 10 in a row. That's 10 straight races without a single mistake, mechanical failure, or strategy blunder. In a sport where a loose wheel nut or a sudden rainstorm can end your day, that's almost superhuman. The previous record was 9, set by Sebastian Vettel in 2013. To break this record, a driver would need a perfect car, perfect team, and a lot of luck. With the sport's push for closer racing and more unpredictable results, 10 in a row might be the absolute limit. Section 5. Most career wins. Lewis Hamilton, 103 and counting. Lewis Hamilton's 103 Grand Prix victories is a number that might never be matched. Schumacher's 91 wins once seemed impossible, but Hamilton's consistency, longevity, and ability to win in every era set him apart. Why is this record so unbreakable? The competition is fiercer than ever, and the days of one team dominating for a decade are fading. Even with more races per season, the sheer number of wins required means a driver would need to be at the top for over a decade with the best car and almost no bad luck. That's a tall order. If you want to keep up with the legends rewriting the record books and the new stars chasing them, make sure you're subscribed. We break down the stories behind every milestone so you never miss a moment in F1 history. Section 6. Most career podiums. Lewis Hamilton, 197 and counting. Hamilton also holds the record for most career podiums. Nearly 200 times he's finished in the top 3. That's a testament to his consistency and the strength of Mercedes over the years. To break this record, a driver would need to be competitive for 15 years or more in a car capable of regular podiums. With driver careers getting shorter and the field getting closer, this one's likely to stand for a long time. Section 7. Most laps led. Lewis Hamilton, 5,447 and counting. Hamilton's dominance is also clear in the number of laps led, over 5,400 laps at the front of the field. That's more than 27,000 miles in the lead. To break this, a driver would need to combine speed, strategy, and reliability for over a decade. Section 8, most pole positions. Lewis Hamilton, 104 and counting. Hamilton's qualifying speed is legendary. 104 pole positions, more than anyone in history. With modern F1's tight margins and unpredictable weather, getting even close to this number would require a decade of near-perfect Saturdays. Section 9, most fastest laps. Michael Schumacher, 77. Schumacher's 77 fastest laps is a record that stood for years. Fastest laps require not just speed, but the right strategy, often a late pit stop for fresh tyres, with teams now focusing more on points and less on glory runs. This record is tough to beat. Section 10, most races with a single team. Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes, 223 and counting. Hamilton's loyalty to Mercedes is unmatched. Over 220 races with one team. In an era where drivers switch teams for better opportunities, this kind of partnership is rare. To break it, a driver would need to join a top team early and stay competitive for over a decade. Section 11, most consecutive points finishes. Lewis Hamilton, 48. From the 2018 British Grand Prix to the 2020 Bahrain Grand Prix, Hamilton finished in the points 48 times in a row. In a sport where a single DNF can end a streak, that's a level of consistency that's almost impossible to match. Section 12, most consecutive race finishes. Lewis Hamilton, 33. Hamilton also holds the record for most consecutive race finishes. 33 races without a single retirement. With the reliability of modern F1 cars, this might seem possible, but with the risks of crashes, mechanical failures, and even COVID-19, it's a record that's hard to beat. Section 13, most consecutive seasons with a win. Lewis Hamilton, 15, 2007 to 2021. Hamilton won at least one race every season for 15 straight years. That's not just about having a fast car. It's about adapting to new rules, new rivals, and new challenges every year. Section 14, most Grand Slams in a season. Jim Clark, 3, 1963. A Grand Slam means pole position, fastest lap, leading every lap and winning the race. Jim Clark did it 3 times in 1963. In today's F1, with not much competition and strategy, pulling off even one Grand Slam is rare. 3 in a season? That's a record from a different era. Section 15, most Grand Slams in a career. Jim Clark, 8. Clark's total of 8 career Grand Slams is another record that's likely to stand forever. Modern F1 is too unpredictable with too many variables for anyone to dominate a weekend so completely, so often. Section 16, most races before a win. Sergio Perez, 190. Sergio Perez waited 190 races before his first win at the 2020 Sakhir Grand Prix, and that's nearly a decade of racing before tasting victory. With more young drivers getting top seats early and teams less patient with underperformers, it's unlikely anyone will wait longer for their first win. Section 17, most races without a win. Nico Hülkenberg, 200 plus and counting. Nico Hülkenberg holds the record for most races without a win. Over 200 starts and still no victory. With teams now favouring younger drivers and rotating lineups more often, it's unlikely anyone will get this many chances without a win again. Section 18, most races without a podium. Andrea de Cesaris, 208. Andrea de Cesaris started 208 races without ever finishing in the top 3. In today's F1, with more competitive teams and fewer backmarkers, it's hard to imagine anyone matching this record. Section 19, most DNFs in a season. Andrea de Cesaris, 14, 1987. De Cesaris also holds the record for most retirements in a single season. 14 DNFs in 16 races. With modern reliability, this kind of mechanical carnage is a thing of the past. Section 20, most DNFs in a career. Andrea de Cesaris, 148. De Cesaris' career total of 148 retirements is another record that's safe. Today's cars are too reliable and teams too careful for anyone to come close. Section 21, youngest world champion, Sebastian Vettel, 23 years, 134 days. Sebastian Vettel became the youngest world champion in 2010. With the current super license point system and the trend toward older, more experienced drivers, it's unlikely anyone will break this record soon. Section 22, oldest world champion, Juan Manuel Fangio, 46 years, 41 days. Fangio won his last title at 46. In today's F1, with its physical demands and younger talent, it's almost impossible for a driver in their mid-40s to win a championship. Section 23. Most wins in a debut season. Lewis Hamilton for 2007. Hamilton won 4 races in his rookie year, with teams now bringing in rookies more cautiously and the learning curve steeper than ever. This record is tough to match. Section 24. Most poles in a debut season. Lewis Hamilton, 6, 2007. Hamilton also took 6 poles in his first year, with qualifying margins tighter than ever and rookies rarely getting top cars. This is another record that's likely to stand. Section 25, most points finishes in a debut season. Lewis Hamilton, 15, 2007. Hamilton finished in the points 15 times in his rookie year. With more competitive fields and less reliable cars for new drivers, this is a high bar. Section 26, most wins from pole in a season. Nigel Mansell, 9, 1992. Mansell won 9 races from pole in 1992. With more unpredictable races and strategy, dominating from the front is harder than ever. Section 27. Most consecutive poles. Ayrton Senna, 8, 1988 to 1989. Senna's 8 straight pole positions is a record that stood for over 30 years. With today's close competition, it's almost impossible to string together that many poles. Section 28, most laps led in a season. Jim Clark, 506, 1963. Jim Clark led 506 laps in 1963. With more competitive fields and fewer dominant cars, this record is from a different era. Section 29, most laps led in a race. Jim Clark, 200, 1965 Indy 500. Clark led all 200 laps of the 1965 Indy 500, which counted toward the F1 championship at the time. With the Indy 500 no longer part of F1, so this record is untouchable. Section 30. Most wins at a single Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton, 8, Hungary and Britain. Hamilton has won the Hungarian and British Grands Prix 8 times each. With more races on the calendar and more variety, it's unlikely anyone will dominate a single event so completely again. Section 31. Most consecutive wins at a single Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton, 5, Hungary 2016 to 2020. Hamilton's 5 straight wins at Hungary is another record that's hard to match, given the unpredictability of modern F1. Section 32. Most consecutive podiums. Michael Schumacher, 19, 2001 to 2002. Schumacher finished on the podium 19 times in a row. With today's competition, even the best drivers struggle to maintain that level of consistency. Section 33. Most consecutive front row starts. Ayrton Senna, 24, 1988 to 1989. Senna started on the front row 24 times in a row. With qualifying margins tighter than ever and the field more competitive, this is a record from a different era, one that may never be matched. Section 34. Most consecutive races led. Ayrton Senna, 1988 to 1989. Senna led at least 1 lap in 19 consecutive races. With more competitive fields and unpredictable races, this is a tough record to match. Section 35, most consecutive fastest laps. Alberto Ascari, 7, 1952 to 1953. Ascari set the fastest lap in 7 straight races. With teams now focusing more on points and less on glory runs, this is a record from a different time. If you love learning about the icons who set the standards in F1 and the records that define greatness, hit subscribe now. We've got more deep dives into the sport's most legendary moments coming your way every week.